This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. In like a lamb, out like a lion. That's the story of the Chinese car market this year. China started out the year with a big slump in new car sales, but last month, sales were up 25% compared to a year ago. Total sales were just over 2 million units, and that's on top of a 10% increase in October. Sales of new energy vehicles shot up 40% and hit a milestone. It's the first time they topped 40% market share, with customers buying 552,000 BEVs. One reason sales are up so much is that a tax credit for higher priced BEVs expires at the end of the month, so more people are buying those models, which means we could see a slump again in January. China's economy has been a bit wobbly this year, with worries over a big drop in real estate prices and high levels of institutional debt. But it looks like someone forgot to tell that to car buyers. And since everyone wants to know how Tesla is doing in China, it had a pretty good month. It sold over 82,400 cars from its Shanghai plant, with 80% of them going to Chinese buyers. For the first 11 months of the year, Tesla sold over 520,000 cars in China, up 32%, while it exported over 325,000 units, up 26%. And Ford is another foreign automaker that exports out of China. It set a record this year by shipping more than 100,000 vehicles out of the country. They mainly go to South America, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. Ford has had a rough time in the Chinese market. In 2017, it sold over 1.2 million vehicles, but last year that dropped to only 495,000. So Ford, like many other Chinese automakers, is exporting vehicles to keep its production volume up. And along those lines, BYD just started selling its model called the Seal in Mexico. You may remember that the Seal is one of the finalists for the European Car of the Year, and BYD has Tesla's Model 3 directly in its crosshairs. It's selling two versions of the Seal in Mexico, a rear-drive model with 200 horsepower, a range of 460 kilometers or 285 miles, and a price of nearly $45,000, and an all-wheel drive version with 522 horsepower, a 520 kilometer range or 320 miles, and a price of $52,000. That compares to $56,000 for a Tesla Model 3 with all-wheel drive and $66,000 for the performance version. Mexico is emerging as an important market for Chinese automakers. They already have 9% market share, and many analysts believe they're going to use Mexico as a springboard into the U.S. market. Volkswagen's troubled software and technology division called Cariad has fallen way behind in development goals, and that delayed multiple new car launches. So it's turning to the Chinese for help. Cariad is forming a new joint venture with Horizon Robotics to develop driver assistance and autonomous technology. Volkswagen invested 2.4 billion euros to get a 60% stake in the new company, which they're calling Carizon. VW will appoint the CEO, while Horizon chooses the Chief Technology Officer. And one of the models delayed by Cariad's slow pace is the Porsche Macan EV. So Porsche started developing critical technologies on its own. And one of those areas is vehicle communication. It's already working with a supplier Bosch to develop 6G networks, which isn't expected to be out until about 2030. 6G will use satellites and balloons at different orbits, as well as AI to transfer data at much faster speeds and better reliability than 5G. This could potentially allow cars to talk to one another at the same time they use the 6G radio waves to detect objects around them, which could drastically improve vehicle safety. However, experts say there's still a number of hurdles to jump, which is why 6G isn't expected to be out until the end of the decade. But speaking of Porsche, it's taking a unique approach to reduce pollution. It signed a letter of intent to set up a direct air capture system in Germany. These systems pull CO2 directly out of the atmosphere, so it can be used as a raw material to make things like synthetic fuels and graphite for battery production. The structure Porsche intends to build looks quite large, but it doesn't give any indication about how much CO2 it can remove. Stellantis is attacking the California Air Resources Board on several fronts. Yesterday, we reported that it's filing a petition against the agency, and today it warned that it's cutting a shift at its Mack assembly plant in Detroit and cutting jobs at its Toledo plant in Ohio because it expects lower sales of gas-powered vehicles in order to comply with California's emission standards. Both plants build Jeeps, and 2,455 jobs could be eliminated at the Mack plant and 1,225 jobs in Toledo. We think Stellantis is playing its cards rather well. By threatening job losses, it could get the UAW to watch its back as it fights the California Air Resources Board. Safety experts are worried about the Tesla Cybertruck. They think it's too strong. Reuters spoke to 6 safety professors and officials who say the truck could be dangerous for pedestrians and cyclists and even other vehicles in a crash because of its angular design and stiff structure. They think that stiff structure will plow right through other vehicles and do a lot of damage. Of course, Tesla doesn't agree. Elon Musk says the truck not only meets all U.S. safety standards, he says it will be safer per mile than other trucks for both occupants and pedestrians. However, even Tesla admits that the Cybertruck could face problems trying to meet Europe's pedestrian safety standards, which require crumple zones on the hood to protect bicyclists and pedestrians. Speaking of Tesla, Bloomberg reports that the head of its Dojo supercomputer project left the company last month. He had been with the company for the last 5 years, but no one is saying why he's leaving. Tesla is developing the Dojo supercomputer to help train machine learning models for its autonomous systems, which will improve its algorithms faster. Tesla is spending $1 billion to develop Dojo through the end of 2024, and Morgan Stanley estimates that it could add $500 billion to Tesla's value. And when Tesla introduced the Cybertruck last week, we said one of its most important aspects is its 48-volt system for its power electronics. And now the automaker is sharing the details of that system with other automakers. And Ford CEO Jim Farley even sent a tweet thanking Elon Musk for making the documents available. A 48-volt system allows you to send more power to the electronics without raising the current, which means you can use thinner and lighter wiring. Tesla is sharing this information because it needs the industry to adopt 48-volt technology because repair costs will be high if Tesla is the only company using it. So more volume is needed to bring down costs for those parts. At the beginning of this year, Drift King Ken Block tragically lost his life in a snowmobiling accident. But we're getting one last new video in his Gymkhana series, now called Electricana thanks to the all-electric Audi S1 Hunatron he drives. In this installment, he spends nearly 8 minutes tearing up different landmarks in Mexico City. Block started making these videos in 2008 and has drifted some really cool and specialized machines over the last 15 years. I think the first Gymkhana video I saw was in 2010, and I still find myself watching videos from time to time in this series when I just need to shut my brain off. But that brings us to the end of today's show and this week. I hope that you have a great weekend.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey, and by Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering. Boost your game.
At CES January 9th through 12th, 2024, Intrepid's looking forward to seeing you at our booth 3666 Las Vegas Convention Center in the West Hall. We'll be demonstrating the latest and greatest in software-defined vehicles and zonal architectures, automotive Ethernet technologies like 10-base T1S and multi-gigabit. See you at CES 2024 Las Vegas Convention Center in West Hall booth 3666 or visit intrepidcs.com/sales.
Wards is the industry leader for news, data, and analysis. That's why companies across the globe subscribe to our premium service, maybe even your own. Log in for subscriber access now. Check your company's intranet for details and rely on wardsauto.com to keep you informed.